Be informed. Be guided. Be inspired. As Hector Macalalag Leadership Channel proudly presents review sessions for Principals Swing and DMT.
A blessed day everyone! Isang mapagpalang araw sa inyong lahat. Kumusta po ang inyong panunood ng aking latest episode about the National Qualifying Examination for School Heads, otherwise known as the Principal's Test. My video number 7 is all about the IRR of Republic Act 9155 or the Governance Act of 2001. Sa pagkakataong ito, tatalikayin ko ang isa sa mga Republic Act na nagbigay ng major reform sa ating educational system in the Republic of the Philippines, particularly in the Department of Education. Ito ay ang IRR ng Republic Act 10533. Lahat ng mga tinatamasa natin ngayon ay because of this major reform in education, particularly on the different provisions, especially on the additional 2 years in senior high school and so many other activities like the major reform in curriculum, the contextualization, the career guidance, and many others. So, kailangan nyo makinig sa Republic Act 10533 dahil ito ay major reform ng Basic Education or Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013. As a principal test takers, you need to be familiarized with the provisions that is found on this Republic Act. And I hope that this can help you as you brace yourselves as you prepare for the incoming principal's test. Enjoy watching the IRR of Republic Act 10533 or the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013. Mabuhay po kayo. Welcome to another episode of National Qualifying Examination for School Heads, otherwise known as Principal's Test 2021. And for this episode, we will be discussing about the implementing rules and regulations of Republic Act 10533. Ito po ang inyong lingkod, Dr. Hector Macalalag, CESE. I hope na nabasa ninyo or napanood ninyo ang aking mga previous episodes kasi nag-discuss na ako about sa PPSSH. 6 na video yon, and yung latest na na-upload ko ay about Republic Act 9155. At marami pa akong sessions na darating. I hope na antabayanan ninyo. Doon ako nakafocus sa bawat strands ng ating PPSSH pagkatapos nitong Republic Act 10533. Kaya magsisimula na tayo ngayon. This is the implementing rules and regulations of the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013, otherwise known as the Republic Act 10533. The rule number 1 is about the general provisions. Section 1 is all about the title. These rules and regulations shall be referred to as the implementing rules and regulations or IRR of the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013 or the Republic Act 10533. Section 2 is the scope and application. The provisions of this IRR shall primarily apply to all public and private basic educational institutions and learning centers. And this IRR shall also apply to higher education institutions or the HEIs, technical vocational institutions or the TVIs, duly recognized organizations acting as teacher education institutions or TEIs and the foundations. So malaki-laki ang kanyang scope and applications, including those of the public and private sectors, both in DepEd the non-DepEd schools, the HEIs, the TBIs, including the TEIs and the foundations. Let us now discuss about the general provisions. On Section 4, on the definition of terms, for purposes of this IRR, the following terms shall mean or be understood as follows. Letter A, Act refers to Republic Act 10533 entitled An Act Enhancing the Philippine Basic Education System by Strengthening its Curriculum and Increasing the Number of Years for Basic Education, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes, otherwise known as the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013. So kung makikita natin, dito talaga ang major reform ng Republic Act na ito. Ito ay nagsimula at na-implement sa time ni Brother Amin Luistro, ating former Secretary of Education. Makikita natin na talagang na-apply na ito ngayon, strengthening the curriculum and increasing the number of years for basic education. Kasi nga, K-12, kung dati yung ating high school or secondary education ay hanggang 4 years lang, now, natagdagan siya ng another 2 years for its senior high school. For the learning center, it refers to a physical space to house learning resources and facilities of a learning program for out-of-school youth and adults. It is a venue for face-to-face learning activities and other learning opportunities for community development and improvement of the people's quality of life. This may also be referred to as the community learning center authorized or recognized by the Department of Education. As of now, there are so many community learning centers that is existing in our locality. Kadalasan dito nangyayari yung face-to-face learning activities and other learning opportunities for community development. Kadalasan dito, or most of the time, dito kinakandak ang mga classes para sa ating alternative learning system. So, ginagamit talaga ito. Although the latest move of this is the alternative learning system is trying to be mainstream to the formal schooling, but there are still learning centers who are available to cater the needs of the community. So, dito talaga sa act na ito nagsimula, nag-originate ang pagkakaroon ng isang learning center. The learner refers to a pupil or student or to a learner in the alternative learning system. So, hindi siya, general term siya talaga ang pagiging isang learner. Pwedeng pang pupil, itong pupil ay para sa mga elementary learners, itong student ay para sa secondary, at tinatawag ding learner lahat ng mga nandoon sa alternative learning system. So, the general term for all of this is the word learner. So, pag sinabing learner, it may be from the elementary, secondary, or from the alternative learning system. Kasi noon categorize yan pag pupil nasa elementary, student nasa secondary. So, lahat ng yan, silang lahat ay tinatawag nating learner. Next is the mother tongue or first language or symbolized by L1. Refers to the language or languages first learned by a child which he or she identifies with, is identified as a native language, user of by others, which he or she knows best or uses most. This includes Filipino Sign Language used by individuals with permanent disabilities, And the regional or native language refers to the traditional speech variety or variety of Filipino Sign Language existing in the region, area, or place. Ito talaga no na kailangan talaga ang i-implement ang mother tongue. Kaya nga naman sa K-3 ang medyo of instruction talaga natin ay mother tongue. So dito talaga nagsimula or nagkaroon ng instruction sa batas na ito na bigyan ng importansya ang pag-use ng mother tongue. Kaya naman marami tayong mga languages ngayon from K-3. Hindi pa nga lang naubos lahat, no? Hindi pa na-implement lahat ang pag-use ng mother tongue, pero yung sinubuan ng Binisaya usually refers to those who are living in Visayas and Mindanao. Mayroon ding Sinurugao noon and many others. And the letter E, the non-DepEd public school refers to a public school offering basic education operated by an agency of national government other than DepEd or by a local government unit. So, tinatawag natin silang non-DepEd public school. Mayroon din naman tayong tinatawag na non-DepEd school. Pwede siyang sa private sector. Sa Section 5, that is basic education, pursuant to Section 3 of the Act, basic education is intended to meet basic learning needs, which provides the foundation on which subsequent learning can be based. It encompasses kindergarten, elementary, and secondary education, as well as alternative learning systems for out-of-school learners and those with special needs under Section 8 of this IRR. So, lahat ng saklaw na pwedeng bigyan ng pansin sa basic education, whether you are in the formal schooling or out-of-school youth or those learners with special needs, nakasaklaw siya sa basic education. Kaya kailangan siya bigyan ng pansin. So nakikita naman natin on this year, sa 2021, marami na talagang na-implement na pagbabago sa ating Department of Education. And that is because of this Republic Act 10533. On Section 6, the Enhanced Basic Education Program, for the purposes of this IRR and pursuant to Section 4 of the Act, the Enhanced Basic Education Program encompasses at least 1 year of kindergarten, 6 years of elementary education, and 6 years of secondary education. In that sequence, secondary education includes 4 years of junior high school and 2 years of senior high school education. The Enhanced Basic Education Program may likewise be delivered through the alternative learning system. Kaya naman, nagkaroon talaga tayo ng adjustment because of the additional 2 years of senior high school and na-institutionalize na po yung ating kindergarten. Na-institutionalize na po lahat-lahat ng programa sa kindergarten. So kaya naman, pwede rin siyang ma-deliver sa alternative learning system. Kindergarten education is the first stage of compulsory and mandatory formal education, which consists of 1 year of preparatory education for children at least 5 years old as a prerequisite for grade 1. So, wala na tinatawag na mga private school noon or lahat ng mga nag-i-implement ng kindergarten, di ba? Naririnig natin may kinder 1, may kinder 2. Wala na po lahat yan. Basta 5 years old ka na anak, tinatawag kang kindergarten learner. So, isa lang po yung kindergarten. Wala ng kinder 1 at kinder 2 kasi per observation, mayroon pang gumagamit ng word na yan. So, pag 5 years old, kindergarten po siya. Then elementary education refers to the second stage of compulsory basic education, which is composed of 6 years old. The entrant age to this level is typically 6 years old. At least 6 years old. Kasi noon, ang grade 1 ay 7 years old. So bumabata na yung mga nag-aaral pero nadagdagan naman ng 2 years. And secondary education refers to the third stage of compulsory basic education. It consists of 4 years of junior high school education and 2 years of senior high school education. The entrant age to the junior and senior high school levels are typically 12 and 16 years old respectively. So it is expected na makatapos yung mga bata sa K-12 ay nasa 18 years old na. At least 18 years old. Kasi kung there's a possibility na mas tataas pa ang kanilang edad. Kasi pag hindi sila nakapag-start kaagad ng grade 1 or kindergarten sa 5, so kung 6 years old na sila, hindi na sila magtatapos ng 18 years old. Kaya lang, hindi na talaga pwede yung kindergarten na 4 years old. Kailangan talaga 5 years old na sila. The DepEd may allow private educational institutions flexibility in adapting the programs provided that they comply with the DepEd prescribed minimum standards consistent with the Act. So, meron silang flexibility, pero kailangan nilang i-adapt yung basic requirements. Pwede nilang dagdagan, pero hindi nila pwedeng bawasan sa private schools. And usually, it will be approved by the regional office if they have enhancement or changes in the curriculum. Usually, the regional office has been given the authority to check on this. Yung mga permit nga sa senior high school, di ba? Nakikita natin ngayon, nasa regional office lang yung nag-a-approve. They are given the power. Kasi naman, kung katulad noon hanggang national, matatagalan talaga. Kasi kailangan pang i-validate, kailangan pang makita kung ano talaga ang nandun sa isang paaralan. Kasi maraming nag-a-apply, halimbawa, mga private institution, nag-a-apply ng senior high school, kailangan pang makita ang kanilang mga facilities if they have the capability to offer such offerings. Kaya, those private educational institutions has been given the flexibility provided that they comply with the minimum standards. Section 7 is all about the compulsory basic education. It shall be compulsory for every parent or guardian or other persons having custody of a child to enroll such child in basic education, irrespective of learning delivery modes and systems, until its completion as provided for by existing laws, rules, and regulations. Kaya responsibility ng bawat parent or guardian na pagpaaralin ang kanilang mga anak. That is their responsibility, provided iyan ng ating batas. Kaya hindi pwedeng iasa lahat sa ating estado. Kasi sabi naman dyan, compulsory for every parent. Kasi yun namang ating education is for free. So wala naman tayong binabayaran. Di ba nga pag enrollment no collection policy, at lahat ng mga babayaran kailangan voluntary. Hindi na katulad noon na may mga compulsory na babayaran, mga entrance fee. Ngayon talaga, all of the payments are voluntary in nature. Pati na yung mga PTA. So pag may mga babayaran sa PTA, that they are all voluntary in nature. Then the section 8, the inclusiveness of basic education. In furtherance of section 3 of the Act, inclusiveness of enhanced basic education shall mean the implementation of programs designed to address the physical, intellectual, psychosocial, and cultural needs of learners, which shall include but shall not be limited to the following. So ito yung Inclusive Basic Education Act para sa ating mga paaralan. So ito yung mga na-mention niya. 8.1 is the program for the gifted and talented. This shall refer to comprehensive programs for the gifted and talented learners in all levels of basic education. Kaya nga yung SPED, di ba, mayroon din silang program for fast learners and for those programs for special needs. Ito yung 8.2, programs for learners with disabilities. This shall refer to the comprehensive programs designed for learners with disabilities, which may be home, school, center, or community-based. So, kailangan talaga yung program is not only for the matatalino, but of course, let us not discount the needs of those learners with special needs or disabilities. And of course, the madrasa education or the madrasa program, this shall refer to the comprehensive program using the madrasa curriculum prescribed by the Department of Education in coordination with the Commission on Muslim Filipinos for Muslim learners in both public and private schools. So usually, maraming talagang public schools nag-implement na ng madrasa education program. So this is also being applied for our Muslim brothers and sisters. Kasi naman they have also the right to have that inclusive education that is suitable for them. So the madrasa program is also introduced to all the public and private schools. So if there are private schools who would adapt to this madrasa program, they are also welcome to have it. And of course, lahat ng mga teachers nila ay trained din on this program. And usually, they come from our Muslim brothers and sisters na mga teachers din na marunong sa kanilang language. So, hindi din natin pinapabayaan ang ating madrasa program. Of course, 8.4 is for the Indigenous People Education Program. This shall refer to the program that supports education initiatives undertaken through formal, non-formal, and informal modalities with emphasis on any of but not limited to the key areas of indigenous knowledge systems and practices and community history. Importante yon. When we have indigenous languages, we have indigenous learning systems, and community life cycle-based curriculum and assessment, educational goals, aspirations, and competencies specific to the indigenous cultural community, otherwise known as ICC. Then, engagement of elders and other community members in the teaching-learning process. Hindi na nangyayari ito. May ini-invite tayong yung mga elders sa isang indigenous people community. They are being invited as resource persons. Then the assessment and management of the initiative, and then recognition and continuing practice of the community's ILS. Ano yung ILS? ILS, Indigenous Learning System, and the rights and responsibilities of ICCs. So sa Indigenous People's Education Program, ito lahat ang emphasis. But it should not be limited to this because we believe that education is based on needs. Kung may makita as we go along with the implementation, of course, there will be additional focus on this Indigenous People Education Program. Naalala ko yung may makakilala ako ng mga dato at bai sa isang barangay or sa isang Indigenous People community. They are being invited to speak on the different programs of DepEd, most especially on the training on this Indigenous People program, education program. So, nagiging speaker sila that they are being used as resource speakers. Kasi naman sila talaga yung nakakaalam sa culture ng ating mga indigenous peoples education. Kaya naman, kailangan ma-deepen pa natin yung ating understanding about this IP education program. And they are also given importance by this Republic Act. Programs for learners, this is 8.5, under difficult circumstances. This shall refer to the timely and responsive programs for learners under difficult circumstances, such as but not limited to geographic isolation, chronic illness, displacement due to armed conflict, urban resettlement, or disasters, child abuse, and child labor practices. So, lahat ng mga learners na may difficult circumstances are given opportunity to continue their education under any modalities of learning that is available for them. So, kaya naman, those conditions are very, very essential for giving these learners different modes of learning. And, of course, sa Section 9 is all about acceleration. The acceleration of learners in public and private basic educational institutions shall be allowed consistent with DepEd rules and regulations. Let us now proceed with the curriculum. On Section 10, the Basic Education Curriculum Development. In the development of the basic education curriculum, the DepEd or the Department of Education shall be guided by the following. The 10.1 is the formulation and design. Pursuant to Section 5 of the Act, the DepEd shall formulate the designs and details of the enhanced basic education curriculum. The DepEd shall work with the CHED or the Commission on Higher Education and the TESDA to craft harmonized basic, tertiary, and technical vocational education curricula for Filipino graduates to be locally and globally competitive. So ito talagang TESDA, DepEd, and CHED ay nag-combine forces. Kaya naman, most of the TVL na mga designs ng ating department ay talagang anchored on TESDA as well as the core subjects, no? Talagang nag-combine ng tatlong malalaking agencies na ito. And the standards and principles, the Department of Education shall adhere to the following standards and principles when appropriate in developing the basic education curriculum. Letter A. The curriculum shall be learner-centered, inclusive, and developmentally appropriate, of course. In this year, that was 2013, no, sa pag-craft ng itong batas na ito. And of this year, talaga namang nakikita natin na learner-centered and they are inclusive and appropriate. Letter B. The curriculum shall be relevant, responsive, and research-based. So, ito naman kasi marami tayong mga researches, no, ngayon na nakakatulong sa pag-improve ng ating educational system. And responsive. Kasi yung research that is based on data. So, pag may nakikita tayong mga problema and based on data, we will try to solve that. And the curriculum should be relevant. And letter C, the curriculum shall be gender and culture sensitive. Kaya naman itong gender and development ay talagang institutionalized na siya sa pag-implement ngayon. Sa lahat ng bagay, kailangan mayroon ng gender and development sensitivity. And of course, our culture sensitivity is also very, very important. The curriculum shall be contextualized and global. So, napakaraming activities natin ngayon about contextualization. That's why it's very essential to have that contextualization kasi nakalagay yan sa Republic Act 10533. Letter E, the curriculum shall use pedagogical approaches that are constructivist, inquiry-based, reflective, collaborative, and integrative. Kailangan talaga ang curriculum natin ay ganyan. Dahil we are addressing the needs of time. It should be integrative, collaborative, reflective, inquiry-based, and so on. The curriculum shall adhere to the principles and framework of the mother tongue-based multilingual education, or the MTB-MLE, which starts from where the learners are and from where they are already know, proceeding from the known to the unknown, instructional materials, and capable teachers to implement the MTB-MLE shall be available. For this purpose, MTB-MLE refers to formal or non-formal education in which the learner's mother tongue and additional languages are used in the classroom. So this is the objective of MTB-MLE. So hindi ibig sabihin or hindi pwede na yung MTB-MLE ay maging foreign language niya, hindi siya marunong. So, isa yan sa mga challenges ngayon sa Department of Education na ina-address naman. Nakikita naman natin they are progressing in implementing this MTB-MLE. Because there are those town na yung kanilang books or there are those localities na ang kanilang books are using sinugbuan ng Binisaya but they are not familiar much with the words that being used in a textbook. So, kailangan talaga maipatupad ito na yung kanilang first language talaga ay dapat manaig sa pag-implement ng MTB-MLE. Katulad na lang ng ibang bansa, ng Japan. So, they are very keen in the use of their national language, which is Nihongo. So, hindi sila nahihiya na ito gamitin. And look at Japan, they are very, very a progressive country. And that is the aim of this Republic Act 10533 na mother tongue-based multilingual education aims to improve the quality of our education. At nakikita natin na palaging may development on this. Hindi naman to madadalas in an instant way. So, kailangan pagtiisan natin as we developmentally progress towards quality education using MTB-MLE. Letter G, the curriculum shall use the spiral progression approach to ensure mastery of knowledge and skills after each level. Kasi noon, ay naalala ko sa time ni Secretary Rocco na wala yung spiral progression. Kasi ibig sabihin ng spiral progression, a little of everything. No? Halimbawa, pag nagtiteach ka ng math, a little of algebra, a little of statistics, a little of different disciplines, and they are starting from simple to complex. So that's the approach of this curriculum, the K-12. Wala na yung noon na focus ka lang sa algebra, isang taon, focus ka lang sa trigonometry, focus ka lang sa basic mathematics. So, wala na po yung ganon na style. So, ngayon, spiral progression, the difficulty increases as the years go by. Kung magtataas na yung level ng bata. Then, letter H, kasi naman yung spiral progression pala, nag-study naman sila na it is very, very appropriate for the needs of time. Kaya we need to trust this approach so that we will have a very brighter future as we implement K-12 basic education. Then letter H, the curriculum shall be flexible enough to enable and allow school to localize indigenize, and enhance the same based on the respective educational and social context. So kaya naman mayroon tayong localization, indigenization, and we enhance based on a social context, based on the culture and the needs of that respective locality. Kaya pag sinabi nating localization, we adjust the content of that lesson to the locality. Kaya para sa akin, very exciting on how to teach that one because lahat ng mga nasa locality natin, they are involved. Na gone are the days na yung example natin ay puro mga foreigner sa lessons natin, puro nasa ibang bansa. We are focusing on what is available in the locality. See the beauty of our curriculum. 10.3, the production and development of materials. The production and development of locally procured teaching and learning materials shall be encouraged, and the approval of these materials shall be devolved to the regional and division education unit in accordance with national policies and standards. So, yung pag-produce ng and pag-develop ng materials, usually we lodge it to our LRMDS. Diba? May nagpo-post tayo, kina-quality assure siya, nilalagay natin sa LRMDS. Ito yung offshoot ng 10.3 on the IRR of Republic Act 10523, the production and development of materials, of which nakakatulong siya lalong-lalo na sa crisis natin ngayon. Mantikin nyo kung wala itong production and development of local materials. Kailan pa dumating? No, yung mga last natin ngayon, learning activity sheets, kung hindi natin ginawa yan, kailan pa dumating yung mga materials from the Department of Education? Kung hinintay talaga natin na maggawa sila ng mga SLM, halos matapos na yung isang grading period saka pa dumating yung iba. So, kailangan talaga, we need to strategize dahil nasa crisis tayo ngayon. So, lahat ng production and development of materials, they are strongly encouraged. And then 10.4, the medium of teaching and learning, pursuant to sections 4 and 5 of this Act, basic education shall be delivered in languages understood by the learners, as language plays a strategic role in shaping the formative years of learners. So it is very important that the medium of teaching and learning should be delivered in languages that is understood by the learners. So, kailangan naiintindihan nila. Kaya naman, as we progress on that scheme, we're very happy na na-address paunti-unti ang mga problema sa side na ito. The curriculum shall develop proficiency in Filipino and English, provided that the first and dominant language of the learners shall serve as the fundamental language of education. For kindergarten and the first 3 years of elementary education, instruction, teachings, materials, and assessments shall be in the regional or native language of the learners. The DepEd, or the Department of Education, shall formulate a mother tongue language transition program that the mother or first language to the subsequent languages of the curriculum that is appropriate to the language capacity and needs of learners from grades 4 to 6, Filipino and English, shall be gradually introduced as languages of instruction until such time when these two languages can become the primary languages of instruction at the secondary level. See the beauty of the plan of the curriculum based on Republic Act 10533. Kasi paunti-unti, no? Yung English at Filipino, pinaunti-unti hanggang pagdating ng secondary level, sila na talaga yung primary languages of instruction. Because we believe it or not, English is also important because this is international language. At huwag din natin kalimutan ang ating pambansang wika na Filipino. But the first 3 years of education shall be used on native language of the learners. Huwag natin kalimutan ang ating native language. That native language should not be a foreign language. Kasi yung iba nahihirapan talaga sila sa sinubuan ng Binisayan. Hindi naman nila first language yun. And I think this has been addressed by the Department of Education. So yun talagang language na ginagamit niya primarily should be the first language being taught from K to 3. And as they transition up to the grades 4 to 6 and up to secondary level, Filipino and English shall be developed and should be proficient lahat ng mga bata na nandun from grades 4 to 6 and also on the secondary level both in junior high school and in senior high school. Kaya very important talaga ito na ma-realize natin ano ang plano ng batas na ito. Stakeholder participation to achieve an enhanced and responsive education, basic education curriculum. The Department of Education shall undertake consultations with other national government agencies and other stakeholders including, but not limited to, the Department of Labor and Employment, the Professional Regulation Commission, public and private schools associations, national student organizations, national teachers organizations, parents teachers associations, chambers of commerce and other industry associations on matters affecting the concerned stakeholders. We have to admit that education is everybody's business, and the Department of Education cannot do it alone. We need partnership and stakeholders' participation. That's why we need to have the consultation with other national government agencies so that the implementation of this Republic Act 10533 will really be successful and will have bigger coverage, and everybody has ownership of the plan. Because if they have ownership of the plan, they will feel included in the implementation. Thus, wider participation means progress in the near future. And for Section 11, Curriculum Consultative Committee, pursuant to Section 6 of this Act, a Curriculum Consultative Committee shall be created to be chaired by the Department of Education Secretary or his or her duly authorized representative, and with members composed of, but not limited to, a representative each from the CHED, TESDA, DOLE, PRC, and the Department of Science and Technology, or otherwise known as DOST, and a representative from business chambers such as the Information Technology, Business Process Outsourcing, or ITBPO Industry Association. Rule 3. This is all about teacher qualifications, training, and continuing professional development. On Section 12 of this Act, the Teacher Education and Training, in order to ensure that the Enhanced Basic Education Program meets the demand of quality teachers and school leaders, the Department of Education, the CHED, and TESDA shall conduct teacher education and training programs in collaboration with relevant partners in government, academia, industry, and non-governmental organizations. Such professional development programs shall be initiated, conducted, and evaluated regularly throughout the year to enhance or to ensure constant upgrading of teacher skills, teacher education, and training programs shall include but shall not be limited to the following. So 12.1 is the in-service training on content and pedagogy. The Department of Education teachers who will implement the enhanced basic education curriculum but have not undergone pre-service education that is aligned with the enhanced basic education curriculum shall be trained to meet the content and performance standards of the enhanced basic education curriculum. So yung mga teachers na hindi na-train sa curriculum pero nandyan na sila sa kanilang pre-service education. Kaya nga kasi nagbago na yung educational system natin, di ba? So may mga teachers na nandyan na, hindi naman sila na-train during their pre-service. Unless yung mga papasok pa lang sa pagkuha ng kursong education, of course, the curriculum of these pre-service institutions have been aligned with this act. And for those who are already in the service and hindi sila na-train, they're given the opportunity to be trained on the content and performance standards in order to meet the enhanced basic education curriculum. Kaya nga, di ba, naalala natin yung 2016 onwards, there are lots of trainings on the K-12 curriculum. So, napakaraming gastos ng gobyerno for this act's implementation. So, kaya tuloy-tuloy na talaga itong K-12 basic education curriculum. 12.2 The training of new teachers, new graduates of the teacher education curriculum not aligned with enhanced basic education curriculum shall undergo additional training upon hiring to upgrade their competencies and skills to content and performance standards of the new curriculum. Furthermore, the Commission on Higher Education, in coordination with the Department of Education and relevant stakeholders, shall ensure that the teacher education curriculum offered in these TAIs will meet the necessary quality standards for new teachers. Duly recognized organizations acting as TAIs, in coordination with the Department of Education, Commission on Higher Education, and other relevant stakeholders, shall ensure that the curriculum of these organizations meets the necessary quality standards for trained teachers. So, na nag-transition noon, may mga teachers na nag-graduate na, hindi sila na-train sa pre-service. Kaya nga, bago magsimula ang mga school years noon, di ba, as we implement the K-12 curriculum, mayroong summer training sa mga teachers. So, napakaraming training. And then for 12.3, the training of school leadership, superintendents, principals, the subject area coordinators, and other instructional school leaders shall likewise undergo workshops and training to enhance their skills on their roles as academic, administrative, and community leaders. So nakita natin noon yung ating mga principals at sa ating mga subject teachers, mayroong mga trainings. Sa principals, mayroong SHDP, yung School Heads Development Program. Sa superintendents naman, mayroong SLP, the Superintendent's Learning Program. And so with other teachers and instructional leaders, because that is embodied by this Republic Act 10533. Lahat ng mangyayari from 2013 up to 2021 somehow ay galing sa batas na ito. And that is implemented gradually. Hindi naman siya binigla. Gradually talaga. Yung lahat ng mga training from superintendents, principals, and all other teachers, especially teachers who were not trained on their pre-service years about the enhanced basic education of this 10533. So yung mga bago ngayon, expected na naka-align na yung kanilang curriculum sa pre-service training, then there is no need to have a rigid training for them maybe mayroon pa rin pero hindi na ganong. Katulad noon na isang 2 buwan nagtitrain, no? Naalala ko pa na napakaraming ang trainings na naganap sa Department of Education, especially those who are newly hired or even those nandun na nasa loob. Talagang binigyan pa ng panahon ng makapag-undergo ng training because there is a transition of the educational reform in the Philippines, and that is a big step in our Department of Education. Napakaraming pera talagang binuhos for this educational reform on K-12. Kaya nga naman, importante talaga na pagbutihan natin ang pag-implement ng ating K-12 basic education curriculum. And the training of alternative learning system coordinators, instructional managers, mobile teachers, and learning facilitators, ALS coordinators, instructional managers, mobile teachers, and learning facilitators shall likewise undergo workshops and training to enhance their skills on their roles as academic, administrative, and community leaders. So, itong ALS ay hindi din pinapabayaan. Lahat ng kanilang mga pangangailangan ay tinutugunan din. So, hanggang ngayon, there are a lot of reforms in the alternative learning system. And, isa yan sa mga flagship program ng ating butihing Secretary Leonor Magtoles Briones. On Section 13, on the hiring of other teachers, notwithstanding the provision of Section 26, 27, and 28 of Republic Act 7836, otherwise known as the Philippine Teachers Professionalization Act of 1994, the DepEd and private educational institutions shall hire as may be relevant to the particular subject. 13.1 graduates of science, mathematics, statistics, engineering, music, and other degree courses needed to teach in their specialized subjects in elementary and secondary education with shortages in the qualified applicants who have passed the licensure examination for teachers. So, kaya naman kasi kahit hindi left passer noong 2016, di ba? Talagang na-hire sila. So, kahit hindi left passer, binigyan sila ng opportunity provided that they will pass the licensure examination within 5 years. Mayroon na po 5 years ngayon kasi 2021 na. So, kasi nung pag-start talaga, there is shortage of the graduates or the teachers. At maraming ang mga MT2 na mga positions noon. Hindi na nga napilapan yung iba. Na-convert na lang sa teacher 1 or teacher 2 kasi wala na mag-apply. Shortage na. Yung iba namang taga-junior high school, hindi naman gustong pumunta sa senior high school. Kaya ang nangyari, na-convert yung ibang items of this because of the shortages. Pero ngayon, hindi na natin masabing may shortages kasi marami ng mga applicants. They shall also include the graduates admitted by foundations duly recognized for their expertise in the educational sector and who satisfactorily complete the requirements set by these organizations, provided that they pass the licensure examination for teachers within 5 years after their date of hiring, provided further that if such graduates are willing to teach in basic education on part-time basis, the provision of licensure examination shall no longer be required kung part-time. Pero marami namang full-time noon. So, binigyan sila ng 5 years. As far as I can recall, this 2021 is the 5th year of some of the teachers. And I know some have not passed yet the licensure examination given the situation na nagkaroon pa tayo ng pandemic. So, kaya sana magkaroon na ng exam ng licensure examination, no? The term foundations as used in this section refers to the non-stock non-profit organizations which are not operating as educational institutions, contracted out by the Department of Education for a fixed period to provide volunteers to teach in basic educations in areas where there is shortage of qualified teachers. The Department of Education shall issue the guidelines and procedures for selections and eligibility of these organizations. So, tinatap din yung mga organizations which are offering or which are not operating as educational institution. And then, graduates of technical vocational courses to teach in their specialized subjects in the secondary education, provided that these graduates possesses the necessary certification as issued by TESDA, provided that they undergo appropriate in-service training to be administered by the Department of Education or HEIs at the expense of the Department of Education. The Department of Education shall provide administrative support to private educational institutions for the in-service training of their teachers on the enhanced basic education curriculum. So, yun talaga mga graduate ng textbook courses ay na-invite sila noon to teach in the specialized subjects in this K-12. And then the faculty of HEIs to teach in their general education or subject specialties in secondary education, provided that the faculty must be a holder of relevant bachelor's degree and must have satisfactorily served as a full-time HEI faculty. So, isa rin sa mga priority yung mga faculty ng HEI. The Department of Education and private educational institutions may hire practitioners with expertise in the specialized learning areas offered by the enhanced basic education curriculum to teach in the secondary level, provided that they teach on a part-time basis only. For this purpose, the Department of Education, in coordination with the appropriate government agencies, shall determine the necessary qualification standards in hiring these experts. So, mayroon mga experts na na-hire, provided kahit hindi sila let passers, provided that they teach on a part-time basis. Then, the career guidance and counseling advocacy. Ito isa sa mga major problems ng Department of Education. Bakit? Marami tayong item, pero walang masyadong nag-a-apply. Kasi nga, mahirap makakuha ng license bilang isang guidance counselor kasi magtapos ka pa ng MA, tapos mag-take ka pa ng kanilang licensure examinations. Kaya marami tayong vacant. So, kaya yung iba, tinatawag na guidance and counseling advocates, yung mga teachers, no? So, Section 17, career guidance and counseling programs consistent with Section 9 of the Act to properly guide the students towards becoming productive and contributing individuals through informed career choices. The Department of Education, in coordination with the DOLE, TESDA, CHED, PRC, NYC, industry associations, professional associations, and other relevant stakeholders, shall pursue programs that expose students to the world and value of work, and develop the capability of career counselors and advocates to guide the students and equip them with the necessary life skills and values. So, yung mga sinasabi dito, yung mga association, career choices, no? Should properly guide students in becoming productive and contributing individuals through informed career choices. So, in coordination of these different agencies, so nag-provide sila, shall pursue programs that expose students to the world and value of work and develop the capability of career counselors. So, itong career guidance program is very, very important in K-12 basic education curriculum. Isa ito sa highlight at major factor ng K-12 Basic Education Curriculum. Sa Section 18, the career advocacy activities. The career advocacy activities refer to activities that will guide secondary level students in choosing the career tracks that they intend to pursue. Career advocacy activities involve provision of career information and experiences, advising, coordinating, and making referrals, and may include but are not limited to career talks, career and job fairs, parents orientation, and seminar workshops on career decision making. Isa ito sa mga crucial factors in the secondary education, especially on the senior high school, kasi nakikita nila kung saan silang area pupunta, saan silang specialization. That's why career guidance and counseling is very essential in this Republic Act. Section 19, the career advocates, notwithstanding the provisions of Section 27 of Republic Act 9258, otherwise known as the Career and Guidance Act of 2004, career advocates shall be allowed to conduct career advocacy activities for secondary level students of the schools where they are currently employed, provided that they undergo appropriate capacity building programs and developed and implemented by the Department of Education in coordination with the DOLE, TESDA, CHED, PRC, NYC student organizations, industry associations, guidance and counseling associations, professional associations, and other relevant stakeholders. That's why may tinatawag tayong mga career advocates, because we have a shortage of guidance counselors in the Department of Education. Sana matuloy na yung pagtataas ng level ng kanilang salary para mas marami na ang maengganyo ng kumuha ng kurso na ito. Kasi ang entrance lamang ng ating mga career o yung mga guidance counselor nasa salary grade 11 katumbas ng isang teacher 1. And take note, kailangan pa nilang magtapos ng isang master's degree on guidance and counseling bago sila makatake ng maging isang registered guidance counselor. Magtitake pa sila at kailangan pumasa sa Professional Regulations Commission. So magastos talaga siya, no? So, and then ang landing niya ay salary grade 11 katulad ng mga fresh graduates or newly hired teachers. So yung mga newly hired teachers, hindi naman master's degree graduate yung iba dyan. So, kaya naman dapat talaga bigyan sila ng pansin. Because they are one of the major factor in the implementation of this Republic Act. Then, the career advocacy may be conducted by career advocates and peer facilitators. Consistent with Section 9 of the Act, career advocates refer to the career and employment guidance counselors who are not registered and licensed guidance counselors. Career advocates include homeroom advisors and teachers of all learning areas who will implement career advocacy activities. Peer facilitators are secondary level students who are trained to assist career advocates in implementing career advocacy activities. So, itong mga career advocacy activities, those are activities na na-assist ng isang career advocates as well as peer facilitators. Siyempre yung peer, mga kasamahan nila na medyo advanced ang superior ang kanilang mga or napili ng teachers na who are responsible for or possess the quality of a peer facilitator. The role of the Department of Education. The Department of Education shall integrate career concepts in the curriculum and undertake teaching in relevant learning areas. So, dapat i-integrate ang concept sa curriculum ng isang career concepts, no? Then, conduct career assessment. So, kailangan mag-conduct ng career assessment. May mga nag-conduct naman ito, napakarami, no? And then, Isa na dyan yung NCAE. So, isa yan sa mga assessment na kinonduct ng DepEd. Conduct regular career advocacy activities. Then, conduct yung regular advocacy talaga, kailangan. Institutionalize siya. Kaya nga may mga Career Guidance Week, di ba, na celebrations sa Department of Education. Conduct continuous professionalization and capacity building of guidance counselors, career advocates, and peer facilitators. Develop or accredit training programs on career advocacy. So, kailangan develop mayroong or accredited ang training programs on this. And then establish a career advocacy unit and provide adequate office space in high school. So, talagang kailangan may space sila. Nakalagay yan sa batas. So, kailangan may designated place ang mga career advocacy unit or team. And then designate guidance supervisors at the division level and career advocates at the school level. So, kung wala ka pang guidance counselor na registered, natawag silang career advocates. Maaaring classroom teacher sila or subject teachers or any designated by the principal to perform roles as such. They are very important on this. And the implementation mechanisms, the Department of Education may enter into contractual arrangements or establish new mechanisms for the design, administration, and supervision of programs or assistance or aspects thereof, subject to the approval of the appropriate government agencies. For this purpose, the Department of Education shall issue the appropriate guidelines for the implementation of the programs of assistance, ensure transparency and accountability in the implementation of the programs for assistance or of assistance, implement information and advocacy to inform the general public, and ensure greater participation and availment of the programs of assistance, and undertake periodic reviews of the program features and make adjustments as necessary to ensure the successful, effective, and sustainable implementation of the program. The program features shall include, among others, amount of subsidy, number of grantees, eligibility requirements, and performance of participating schools. Funding requirements, the budgetary requirements under the rule shall be ensured by the national government. So, ito yung mga yung mga time frame, mga beneficiaries of this Republic Act 10533. Kaya naman, maraming salamat sa inyong panunood. Thank you for watching. I-subscribe nyo naman ang aking leadership channel, the Hector Macalalag. So, I hope na marami kayong natutunan sa act na ito. I hope that you will really subscribe on this channel at please share to all. Thank you very much for listening.